The Witcher finale, the show that says the only problem with the evil villains is that they don't go far enough. According to the hero herself. Sometimes I wonder what life would be like for a villain of a fantasy series if they were living in the real world, and now I know. They'd just be working for Hollywood. But we start with the Queen looking like she's been sticking a fork in an electric socket.
Merwin's dream had become a reality.
Thanks for telling me that, love. I couldn't have worked that out myself. Yes, don't worry. Just because this is the finale doesn't mean we don't just have some random third-party voice telling us the exact plot of the script. Just in case you forgot it in the last 30 seconds from the previous episode. I've heard of show not tell, but getting a narrator to just feed you dialogue seems going a bit far for anyone.
Once Eridan's scouting party found a suitable world, she'd conquer it.
Not only were we told that in the previous episode, but now you've just told us the future of yours.
Civilizing any inhabitants who welcomed her empire.
Where are you opening a portal up to? Glasgow? Look, I know you've got an army, but don't you think that's a bit ambitious?
And erasing those who would resist its glory.
Okay, love, calm down. Give me 5 minutes, I'll get you a list.
Locate food sources above all else.
I don't think you've thought this through, love. You're going to an unknown world that presumably won't have huge empires in it, and so your most common source of food will just be whatever creatures inhabit it. I'm just not sure how much food 6 guys can hunt, to be honest. And if you did find an empire that had enough food to feed their population, you're going to need more than 6 guys to take it over. So the only way you can get enough food for your plan is if you don't do your exact plan.
There will be no civilizing other worlds till we settle the lowborn here.
The only way you're going to get enough food is if you take over another empire and steal theirs. I don't know what to tell you, love. But she warns her second in command that a half-orc can never be trusted, and goes, don't worry. We've got a hostage. There's absolutely no way he's going to let any harm come to her.
I'll keep Fenric in my blade's shadow.
She's his sister, his servant, and she can't talk. There's too many upsides. So they let the half-orc open the portal without any kind of instruction or oversight about what he's doing. They already know he's been to multiple worlds, but for some reason, don't think he will have used any of them to his own advantage yet. So he opens a portal, they go through.
And the new golden age begins.
I'm still not sure how. So obviously, he takes them through to the Wasteland region where he's been visiting all the time, because they didn't give him any instructions of where to go.
What is this place?
I don't know, maybe if you'd asked him any questions about where he'd been traveling first, you could have asked him to go to a nicer area.
Look for water!
Did you just say look for water?
Look for water!
You're not in a drought, your people aren't dehydrating to death. Do you actually know the difference between food and water? At this point, I'm really curious. I'm starving. Well, here's a can of Red Bull. Gives you wings so you can piss off. But they have a discussion about why did you bring him here? Are you going to sacrifice them as well? He's like, no. It's got to be you. She said I had to sacrifice something important to me, and for some reason, you didn't realize that was you. Seriously, have you not seen the Avengers? I mean, at this point, if you're hanging around with a half-orc, you know exactly what you're going to get. The advantage is, she can't talk, so it's not as if she can cry out for help. Doesn't exactly end well for her. Now, they've got to be impressed, because he's just removed their only leverage point. Although there is also this. Look how far they walked away from her.
I'll keep Fenric in my blade's shadow.
You didn't do a very good job of that, did you? At this point, even if he wasn't going to sacrifice her, he could still defend her against the soldiers. But anyway, this causes him to inherit the chaos magic. They just stand here while all this is going on, because if I'm watching a wizard power up, obviously, I'm going to be polite and let him finish.
I gave you everything you wanted and still you betrayed me.
That's not exactly true. He wanted to bang someone behind the bike sheds. And for some reason that was a massive problem, even though the show never explained why, and we're just supposed to assume that you had a problem with it yourself. Which, considering what he just did to his sister, I think he probably would have just been fine with it if he'd asked. What can I say? All the villains in this are complete morons. Let's just move on. So they try and mount a defense.
On me!
But it goes as well as you'd expect from someone as incompetent as him. Yeah, they get sucked into another realm, and even the wizard himself doesn't know where he sent them.
Wherever this takes you, will you burn for all eternity?
I don't know, it just doesn't seem like the best plan to me. What if they survive? Look, the British deported a load of criminals to an island, and then they survived and turned it into a desert paradise. I kind of think they got the better end of that deal. The last thing I want is for them to do the same. But at that moment, some invisible creature walks up behind him. Don't know why she's invisible. It's cheaper on the CGI. Probably best for everybody at this point.
What will you do with such wonderful chaos?
I'm going to take what I've always deserved.
You're a half-orc. You do not want to get what you deserve. I never understand the people in these shows going, I just want what I deserve. It's like, no, you don't. You don't. I mean, I'd enjoy it, but I'm not sure they would.
I'm going to take what I've always deserved. Everything.
Oh, I hope have you been talking to Kit from Willow again? I'm not even sure deserving everything is a positive, because everything includes all of the horrific things that can happen to a person. It's like one of those genie wishes you haven't thought through properly and so it ends up being horrific. Back in the city and our party of sellswords has arrived. Now, don't look too closely at this image to see what's actually a set and what's CGI, because you'll be very disappointed if you do. Just gloss over it and don't concentrate too hard. It's the key to enjoying most entertainment nowadays, I think.
Empire Grain Store. They're starving down here.
Yeah, key to their plan is the Empire Grain Store, where they think if they throw the doors open and just let all the peasantry inside, somehow they'll revolt against their masters. Welcome to the class revolution storyline, and like most people who fantasize about that kind of thing, they're not very bright. Let's just say you open the grain stores and everyone went inside and grabbed what they could. Well, now you don't have any grain for the future and everyone dies. Maybe think at least one step ahead rather than just this very second, eh? Obviously, we've still got a little dwarf where no one has commented that there aren't any dwarves in our elven army. She's repeatedly spoken about how elves and dwarves don't get on, but for some reason this empire that wants to go around dominating everyone else in the universe has just let a dwarf in their army. It'll be fine. She's not wearing any armor because none of it fits her. Not suspicious though. No.
Good luck.
You've definitely used up all your luck getting the farce this far. Couldn't you have hid your braids? I mean, seriously, that's the kind of expression she's got to pull just to look someone in the eyes. Definitely going to put her in the army.
I've returned with the Empress's prisoner.
So he looks through the door, doesn't say there was supposed to be 2 prisoners. Why have you only got 1 prisoner? It just opens the gate. She gave you 70,000 coins for 2 people. Why have you only got 1? Why does that guard over his left shoulder look like the other prisoner? Just ignore it. Everyone's an idiot. So then we get this side plot, which as far as I can tell, doesn't actually serve any purpose at all.
Didn't realize the full potential of its magical equations. This one in particular. It allows travel not just between worlds. We could travel through time itself.
This is a guy who can't even open a portal to another realm, but now he's mastered time travel. It has absolutely nothing to do with this TV series, but we just want to set things up for the future. Desperately try and tie ourselves into Witcher lore, because they enter the room.
Leave us.
And he's just told to go because he's absolutely useless. I don't care about you and your pathetic ramblings of time travel, you peasant. Dylan Moran looking ass. She says I upheld my part of the bargain and brought him to you, and now I want that sword.
And what of the Lark?
Dead.
We just couldn't be bothered to bring her body back, despite the fact we had 50 soldiers to carry her. And ignore the fact that there's one at the front that looks just like her. All of this is said over her shoulder because they probably didn't film her actually saying it. Meanwhile, the sellswords enact their plan. First of all, opening up the granary. I mean, I know Asda can be bad on Black Friday, but I've never needed to do that to get served at the bakery. The other Dylan Moran looking ass, who's actually just Dylan Moran, tells the sellswords to spread out over the city and cause trouble.
Break!
Well, that or just go on break. The dwarf shoots down a couple of archers. You're amazing! Remember, whenever a female character does anything, she needs positive affirmation at all times. Can't just know I'm the best. I need to be told I'm the best. See? Just everyone going, congratulations, you actually did something. But they fetch a desired sword.
Soul Reaver, one of Father's favourite prizes. Had this been another time, I'd have returned this to you.
That still would have been stupid because she's your arch rival. Why are we arming our nemesis in a throne room? It still doesn't make sense.
A bright future lays ahead. Regretfully, not for you.
This still doesn't make any sense. Any other day I would have given it to you, but not now. Just as we need to unify and go forth into the future against every other world in existence.
You're a sellsword and ghost tribe. So you see why I can't let you go.
Yes, I understand that. But why is that different today than it would have been yesterday? That's what she's always been, so you always would have done the same action. We're supposed to be saying what's different about what she's done now.
Honor. Your ghost tribe was honourable above all else. Here you are, a betrayer, selling out your fellow warriors for a bit of metal.
You literally assassinated your entire family and the family of everyone even partially related to you. I'm like, oh, I can't believe you're talking to me about honor when you've betrayed your friends. These characters don't even make sense. They can't even remember their own actions and motivations. Just anyone is saying any line at any point. No, this character cannot suddenly value honor and loyalty.
A disgrace to your ancestors.
You killed your ancestors? What do you even mean? And your ancestors killed her ancestors, so I'm not sure why you're suddenly worried about what they think.
You're lying.
Why didn't you just say you wiped out your entire family? You can't take the moral high ground. Now I have no problem with the villain thinking they're the hero in their own story. Everyone goes through all of their actions thinking they're doing the right thing, because otherwise they wouldn't do it. But it has to make some kind of sense. There has to be some logic in it. You can't talk about somebody's ancestors being disappointed in them when you wiped out yours.
Take her to the square. Behead her with the sword that she betrayed her friends for.
You betrayed every single person you've ever known in your entire life. Why are you talking about betrayal as if you think it's a bad thing? Why are you talking about betrayal as if it's a principle you even hold, you lunatic? You can't use somebody else's principles against them when it's not one of yours.
And place her head on the city gates as a warning to malcontent.
Put yours on a wall to ward off trespassers because they won't be able to climb over your spiky face.
May your womb rot and your name be forgotten.
At least they know that's an insult. Is there even a more 2022 accurate summarization than that? Don't be surprised if I steal that one for the future. I'm a 10. Well. We get a brief glimpse of the creature roaming the palace halls, because if I was designing a palace, I would obviously design it with the thought of a creature from another realm I've not even met yet in mind. Yeah, the doors all fit it, just don't think about it. It'll be fine. Now she's killed 2 guards, she takes her armor off. I'm only taking over an entire city. It's not like I need armor or protection or anything. No, my skin will be perfect. No, I don't need to be protected. I'm a bard.
The grain behind these, we mean you no harm.
It gets more stupid when everyone else takes their armor off as well. Before I was protected by metal, and now I've just got padded cloth. That's definitely an improvement.
We mean you no harm. We're here for justice.
What do you know about justice? We get to see her idea of justice later in the episode. And it's not so much I'll drink to that, it's more that your ideas of morality are so horrific, drives me to it.
The grain behind these doors is yours.
Yeah, for 24 hours until they eat through it all, and then what?
Every grain store in this city belongs to you.
We need a peasant revolution! Rise up against your masters! Seriously, this is like a TwitchCon wet dream. So she gets the mages to open the door. Is it magically sealed? I have no idea. Oh, and it's empty. But her entire speech was based around the elite have been stealing your food and keeping it from you while you starve. Well, it turns out everyone's gonna starve.
Every grain store in this city belongs to you. Grain grown by you, the lowborn.
It's not even true. Her entire speech is a lie. The reason everyone's starving is because the Harfoot killed all the mages that wouldn't submit to him, and the mages were the ones creating the food which everyone was eating. The peasants are growing the same amount of food that they've always grown. It's just that the mages were able to create a massive amount of food in order to feed everybody. Kill the mages because they won't submit. Suddenly, you run out of food.
To batten her empire's armies, feeding off your blood, sweat and tears.
Wasn't true. Never been true. Still isn't true. The show knows it's not true, and yet for some reason, absolutely no one even questions it. The show should know this is a lie, but actually forgets its own storyline from episode 2, I think. 4 episodes in and still can't hold a narrative together. Welcome to Witcher Season 4 after Henry Cavill has left.
Take what's yours!
Well, at least she's right about that, because none of that is theirs. The mages didn't create the food, and so there's no food for you to steal from them.
Empty.
I'm so glad you got a guy to shout out, "It's empty!" just in case the viewers at home weren't paying attention on their second monitor. But unfortunately, the lives of our heroes have fallen flat, given that we have to live in reality, not their delusions. At this point, if I was here, I would turn around and yell out, "The peasants are revolting!" Unfortunately, we're not that lucky.
This is the future under the Empress and her bloody empire.
I mean, this is the present under her empire, not the future.
All that lies ahead for you, for your children, is starvation.
And if you take over and kill a load of mages in the process, they're going to starve even more.
We need to rise up. I know you're scared, but we'll never have this chance again.
The chance for what? For you to seize power? What's in it for them?
Together, we can win.
Comrades! And there's all silence. No one does anything because no one is as stupid as they thought they were. I'm not sure I've seen a TV series this mask off, but considering the quality of the plot, I'm not surprised it was written by who it was.
We are.
Oh, don't you start as well, love. I had enough of that in the last episode in the cave. You're just gonna make it worse.
Let no one doubt our cause.
I'm in pain.
Let them feel our thorns.
Why do you sound like you're in pain? Yes, that's right. They're going to lead a revolution of the peasantry against the elites because somebody stung a song. And the woman that started it all, that brave one who stood up in front of the face of evil and darkness when no one else dared. Oh yeah, you're going to be seeing a lot of her later in the episode as well. So remember her face because she goes through things that no one would be able to survive, comes out the other side. The power of fallopian tubes. Yeah, they keep droning on for a long time. She's like, go, this is the day, the peasants are revolting. So like the lowborns, the working class, go and overthrow your masters. Yeah, take over the city that you don't know how to lead and you don't even know the problems of because you don't even realize why the grain store's empty. It can only go well. This is beyond the blind leading the blind. We've got one brain cell between us, but we're desperately trying to make it work. There isn't enough food for all because you need the mages to create it for you. Why do you think there isn't any food? How do you think if the food is already gone that the same people creating it will lead to a better outcome? Who do you think ate it if not you? Yeah, she starts taking over as a leader of the rebellion. Arm yourselves! Oh, thank you, dear. I'd never thought of that before, yeah. Yeah, cheers, love. I needed to be told how to be a warrior by You and your massive life of practice.
I thought my magic was powerful.
Well, she doesn't have any magic. She's just got a big gob and a script. Her main advantage was at the bottom of the script it said, and now do what she says, because they definitely wouldn't have been convinced by it.
He who had 2 enormous balls that slew an empire!
Dylan the Demolisher. He just stands over a city and swings. So they charge off into the city in order to try and take on the entire city guard, while they charge into the palace. It's time for the princess to try and pull the guy after she's killed his sister. I know I said in Kit that we now live in a time where women have absolutely no idea how to attract a man, but even by Willow's level of ineptitude, she is taking it a bit far.
You have questions.
I mean, that is a bit of an understatement. I understand you want to know why I brutally slaughtered your sister, but we can get to that later.
Everything that you've heard is true.
It's not a good opening statement. Try and come up with an excuse. She attacked me. I had no other choice but to defend myself. I mean, you've lied to everyone else about what happened. Why not him as well? Not just, yeah, I did wipe everyone out and your sister, but you know, it was fun.
I had Alvatir killed, and your family.
But you'll love me one day. What is even going on? Why can't you write a villain that makes sense? Is it because you agree with what she's done? Is that why?
I knew everyone that I loved would die, and I said yes.
I've heard better sales pitches, I've got to be honest. I know you're angry because I did brutally murder everyone you've ever loved, but I did it for power. It's got to count for something.
Without a second breath.
I thought you were trying to get him on your side, but you just keep hammering those nails into your own coffin. Much like you did his sister, actually, now I think about it.
I was going to be a footnote in someone else's story. I was a fertile thing to be traded. I was unseen, Fial.
Oh, well, that just makes it all better then, doesn't it? All the horrific acts you've heard about is true, but he was going to marry me off to a prince, and we can't have that. I was going to live a wonderful, privileged life, a happy, satisfied life, popping out some kids at the peak of societal privilege. And I couldn't have that. They had to die because it's all about me.
They always had to die. My brother, he would have just made the same mistakes as every king before him.
The death of tradition, a second theme that they're desperate to drill into everyone. Destroy tradition, destroy the family, overthrow the monarchy, and then stage a workers' revolution against the people who are above you. I can't imagine what they're trying to push in this TV series. But she says, look, I know you think I've destroyed this world, but don't you know, we've gone through portals into other ones and we're destroying them as well. You've got to be proud of me for that, don't you?
I will lead us into a new golden age.
The only gold you're ever going to see, love, is on your forehead. I also don't know what this expression is, but it's kind of gold. Nailed everything, even down to the crazy eyes. But after telling him all the horrific acts that she's done in her past, she still tries to attract him.
I want you by my side.
Look, love, when people told you body count mattered, they didn't think you were going to make it corpses. Quite frankly, he can do better. And I say that in full knowledge that he's now a dark, evil creature from another realm. He's still out of your league.
I know you'll need time.
Time? With time, you're just going to get worse. But she thinks he's crying in front of her, which makes her regret her decision to actually ask him out in the first place. Luckily, though, he's just laughing in her face like she deserves.
You truly are demented.
Well, yeah, but you also must have known that before. You'd guarded her entire life. Let's face it, it was already 50-50. She just confirmed it over time. There's a reason why there was a king in charge.
You honestly think I could forgive you after what you did?
I'm not sure I'd forgive her for burning the toast, to be honest. Just, do you not understand what I sacrificed for you, and then you betrayed us? I still don't know why she was ranting about honor earlier. And transforms into his beast.
You're a monster.
And he should know. So he transforms into a monster, which is largely just turning down the saturation of him on screen. Look, we've only got 4 episodes. We can't spend that much on CGI.
I should know.
Hey, that was my line. Soldiers try to escort her from the throne room, and for some reason, he doesn't try and stop him. Instead, he turns around to have a fight with the thing 10 times his size. You know that thing, the thing that can turn you into a red mist at range. Just forgets it has that power here for the rest of the entire episode. Meanwhile, as she's being escorted to the cells, she breaks free.
You had to be rude about it.
Kinda don't think that would have saved him if they'd said please, but there we go. She gets to the palace entrance and lets everyone else inside.
Bit of colour on your face suits you, so it does.
Yeah, she's still a lunatic. I'm so glad she was the one that lectured us about historical morality in the last episode, the Nutter. They split up with the 2 sorcerers going to destroy the monolith, and they take on the guards. The dwarf fires more arrows than Kit has in her entire series. And we get a hallway scene that, for once, isn't talking about their feelings. Dwarf even gets shot by an arrow, so the positives just keep on coming.
Stay alive. I'll do my best. You mind yourself.
Okay, so maybe there was a bit of feelings in hallways. But she doesn't care that she got shot by an arrow, just uses it as an ammunition to fire back at them. Why she only had 1 arrow of her own, I don't know. Relying on everyone else to turn you into a pincushion just so you can fire back at them, it doesn't seem like the greatest of military strategy to me. But who am I to argue with someone so knowledgeable about the past. They take out the rest of the guards, and we're back in the city with more guards making a charge on the peasantry. Interesting thing about the peasantry is who's in charge? Oh yeah, it's the singer from the first part. Now, as you can see, leading the peasant revolt is 3 strong, independent people, with one brave person of testosterone cowering behind them. Quick comparison of gear, and they've just got basic robes, no armor, no protection, and what looks like a miner's pickaxe, fighting a trained, well-equipped army of military guards in full armor with shields and swords. They clearly don't stand a chance, especially the people at the front, who are going to be the ones in the thickest of battle. But don't worry about that, because these people have the power of fallopian tubes, and so I'm sure they're going to be fine.
No retreat!
You might have to retreat. Look what you're facing. That's not going to do that much. They're in metal with shields, dude. The soldiers get charged by the peasantry, who are all being led by the strong, independent people of fallopian power. I'm not sure whether that's her war cry for battle or whether she's just seen a buy one, get one free offer on scented candles. In the palace again, and he's finally decided I should probably start fighting this thing that will definitely kill me because it's way bigger. At this point, it should just turn him into a red mist. At no point does it turn him into a red mist. He has the power to break all laws of physics and just slides across the bottom without any friction, slashing at its ankle. Obviously, it's a little bit upset. Surely it's going to turn him into a red mist, right? No, the rest of the party split up with the sorcerers going to the monolith, and she decides to go after the queen that they've just seen heading down a hallway. I'm not sure whether she's hunting her or just going to bond over their taste in boys.
Let's get to the monolith.
Yeah, let's get to the monolith so we can have a magic battle that doesn't actually make any sense, but you know, magic. So the queen comes back to get her book all about the portals. She hears a noise outside that sounds suspiciously like her guard getting slaughtered. Pulls a knife that she has absolutely no idea how to use, bearing in mind that whoever's outside that door just beat up her guards, who do know how to use their weapons. And in walks the bard.
You're her, the Lark.
So you can recognize the Lark on sight from her bounty, but no one recognized her when she's standing in front of the soldiers at the gate. Fair enough.
I thought you'd be more.
If only it made your forehead shiny, I would have respected you. But she said, you know, me and you, we've got a lot in common.
Both abandoned lives written for us to write our own.
Abandoned lives written for us. You're the princess at the peak of privilege that was going to get married off to a king, so that you could live out your life in satisfied luxury, popping out children. I can't believe you wrote my life for me. And she was supposed to be a soldier who decided to become a bard. So her life wasn't written for her at all. This whole idea that unless you do exactly what you wanted every single second of the day, somehow I'm being oppressed.
Everything I have done has been for Elfkind.
Does that include when you were wiping out Elfkind? I don't know. Can we give them a survey from across the other side in the Nether Realm? I kind of think they might have a different opinion.
And I will not apologise for that.
I don't care whether you apologise or not. I care about objective reality, not your feelings.
You've no idea what Elfkind even is.
I think she does. It's the pointy ears, because there's no other difference between them and a human in this show.
You're just another spoiled princess.
I am Empress!
That's a distinction without a difference, isn't it? You're royalty, I'm royalty! This is the conversation of two deranged bints complaining at each other, and so because neither one actually makes sense or has any kind of motivating principles, both of them come out of this conversation looking insane. Even though this is where the Empress is supposed to come across as the villain, which is why they had to make her so over the top just to try and make the completely evil Lark actually look even remotely palatable.
You don't speak for Elfkind.
What, and you do?
That's what all this is about. It's just somebody wants to claim ownership over a group of people that have been collectivized under some arbitrary physical characteristic compared to the other person that wants to do the same. The Empress did it over Elfkind, the Lark did it over class-based divisions. That's the only difference between the two.
They speak for themselves now.
That's not true because you chose to speak for them. You decided to do all this and get them to burn down their own city because you're a lunatic.
Small minds will always fear what they don't understand.
And no one has a smaller mind than the two of you in this room. The only reasons your skulls don't fall apart is the vacuum power from within holding them together. There are some people that ask me, how on earth can you watch this absolute tripe? Well, I present to you Exhibit A.
The thought of watching the life drain from your eyes fed me, nourished my broken heart all this long way.
I think that says it all. Now at this point, the Lark decides that she's not going to even pretend to be a hero anymore. And so she's just going to turn complete Sith Lord.
The closer I got, a thought kept eating away at me.
I'm not surprised, it's clearly the first one you've ever had.
That what you did was right.
Yep, we're going there. This is where the hero tells the villain that, you know, when you slaughtered all of our family and friends, that was the right thing to do. Sick and twisted evil peasantry, that's all we've got here.
Wiping out the monarchies, and the clans.
Killing all of my friends. Oh, I can't believe I didn't congratulate you on it before.
We were the monarchy's boots on the necks of the people. We were their blade, without question. But you were just more of the same.
That's all it is. You just didn't go far enough. You know when you'd murdered all of our friends and family and every single person that I'd ever loved my entire life? Do you want to know the one problem with that? You didn't go far enough. This is the hero, the person with the morality that the Witcher staff want you to support, going, in a class-based revolution, the only thing that you can possibly do wrong is to not go far enough. It doesn't matter who you wipe out, you are justified because they are above you in some kind of arbitrary social order. Anyone who has more than you should be wiped off the face of the planet. Sick and twisted people.
You changed nothing.
But if she had changed it, then she would have been morally justified. Oh, the power of fallopian tubes.
You're just another boot.
And you're just another evil tyrant dressed up as a hero because you're more concerned about power dynamics than you are justice.
You're just another boot, looking for more necks.
You literally came in here in search of necks. You got cell swords just so you could go out into a city and find even more necks. In episode 3, we got told if somebody else at some point in history did something else to somebody in history, then you're morally justified to do any action in the present at all. And now we've got that acted out as she goes in to wipe out innumerable people while claiming that she's wearing the halo. If you're going to accuse your enemy of what you do yourself, at least have the smallest amount of self-awareness. At least try and make your character palatable for the people who are supposed to be entertained by this.
You hear that? That's the future of elfkind.
And you're pleased with that, are you? The sounds of battle, rage, screaming, dying, and pain. That's the future of us. That's what I've led them into. I'm the hero.
And the songs they sing will not be of you, but of freedom.
Oh, why? Because they're singing your songs. They will be free to be ruled by me with my boot on their neck. Because unlike everybody else, I went far enough. I wiped out literally everybody that I could. And anyone that stood against me is now buried 6 feet below the dirt. Oh, it's no wonder that Hollywood can't write entertainment when you have absolutely no idea what a hero is. The only thing that could save the scene is if the beasts outside just destroyed the entire room, because at least then the two most evil people in existence would achieve justice.
I've given you a choice. You want to control your own story.
What, like you are? Yeah, because you don't want anyone to know the truth of your actions and what you've said here, because you're so repulsive. But she says, if you want to control your own fate, I've given you a choice. You can leave the blade in, and maybe a mage will be able to save you. Or you can take it out and die in seconds. They basically stole it from John Wick.
Face your wrongs, or pull it out and bleed to death a coward.
Face your wrongs. I tell you, we could make you face your wrongs, but we're going to be here a while if I have to sit here and list them. And it'll be difficult to hear the accusations over the scream of agony of everyone you've left in your wake. The Half-Orc comes back, and now we can control a new element, fire. Something he very quickly tests on a god. Something tells me that may have been a bit overboard. He's not exactly medium rare. The sorcerers confront him.
This ends now!
Yeah, maybe for you, mate. They are very lucky that around this battlefield are massive pillars which can protect them from fire. Seriously, it's like someone set up a game arena. Because he just stands there blasting fire at them rather than trying to get an angle on them as you would in an actual battle.
How can he control fire?
Did you feel that?
The chaos energy from the other world.
Yeah, that's all right. That's how they work out how he can control fire. They just feel it. How did he have this magical knowledge that no one should actually know about? I can feel it in my water. I don't know. It's just woman's intuition, it is. We cut to the two beasts who are also fighting each other and still haven't just turned him into a red mist. Even when he charges him and does a flying leap with an axe, we don't just turn him into a red mist like we did every other warrior. Yes, this guy's absorbed some of the energy of a caterpillar. It still doesn't explain why we can't just hit him and turn him into a red mist. But the fight carries them through the window, which they had to do because the princess wanted to come back in the room. We wanted to die on the throne room, but we already set the battle there. Well, why don't they just arbitrarily move out of the throne room at the exact right second for her? Won't the audience think that's a bit stupid? Nah, no, not even watching anyway. They're only paying half attention. So she magically turns up at the exact same second that the beast has left. Not concerned that there's now a big hole in her window. She's more concerned about sitting on her chair. I don't know why, it's not even that impressive. It doesn't spin. My chair spins. I've got a lean back function as well. Yours can't even do this. You don't even have lumbar support. Your chair's crap.
Don't mind me, love. Actually,
Dylan Moran turns up. I'm still not really sure why. I think we've just paid Dylan Moran quite a lot of money. We need him as many scenes as possible.
you wouldn't know the way to the Royal Mint, would you? Here they are!
So he's led the peasantry on their revolt around the city, slaughtering all the gods, and now they've made their way to the throne room. But let's have a look at who's leading the charge. Oh, do you remember her? The person who sang the song and then led the charge into people with armor, and somehow she's survived. And what a lovely mix of a spearhead we've got here as the Netflix revolutionary force. The working class revolution against the elites in power. We do have one person of testicular fortitude, at least though, hiding in the background, cowering behind the strong and independent. Although she sees him and is like, I'm having enough of that, and pulls it out herself, being in control of her own destiny. The bard said it was cowardice, but I think being in control of your own destiny is a lot better than letting the strong and independent have their way with you. Now, after the fall, the two beasts are looking a bit worse for wear. At least one of them is, considering the other one's still flying around having the life of Riley. As yet, still hasn't turned him into a red mist, not sure why. He has all the time in the world to turn him into a red mist. He can't be bothered. So it's lucky then that a spear comes out of nowhere, hits him in the eye, and is thrown by strong, independent, murderous lunatic. Look, I know I'm the most evil person in the series, but let's just put that behind us. I've got to be heroic. Okay, I was expecting something a bit more heroic than that, love. But that's all he needs in order to give in to his monstrous form. I'm not powerful enough as it is, desperately trying to hold on to my humanity, and she's been injured. The most evil person in the universe might have taken a bit of damage. I better throw my life away for nothing. Personally, I would have been cheering rather than doing that, but each to their own. So he transforms and becomes a little bit more monstrous. Or the Hunchback of Notre Dame, you can take your pick. He finds a massive sword that came off one of the statues and smashes it off the statue. Waits for the creature to fly in, and then as it does, basically just shouts, "Yeet!" Well, that's one way to take it out, I suppose. He did forget momentum. That's always a problem. Luckily, it didn't hit anyone, because no one even bothered to move.
All my life, people like you have dismissed me.
Men who seek power are just insecure. Do you think one day Hollywood will write a character who isn't a cliche of their own ideology? I'm just wondering.
I don't need any of you.
And that should be true, right? He's inherited chaos magic. The person in the other realm said this will make you a god, more powerful than anything else. Except he didn't encounter on the power of fallopian tubes. Oh, never underestimate their power, no matter how little sense it makes in a story. Because the two of them have a plan, and it doesn't make any sense, but that's not going to stop them.
We need to use his power against him. I'll merge my power with his chaos energy to shatter the monolith.
Yep, that's the plan. This guy's really powerful, and so somehow we're going to use that against him. How are we going to do that? Well, I'm just going to merge with him. Doesn't that basically win anything? The magic battles in the rest of your entire series will always be awful, because it doesn't matter who's stronger or who's more skilled or talented. The other person just has to go, I merge with you. And now you can't do anything. One of the reasons I may have liked the magic system from Willow last week could have been because I'd also seen this show, and the magic in this show is awful. Yeah, he just comes out firing stuff out of his hand, and the other guy is laughing, but for some reason not just blasting them with fire. It's what I would have done. Don't let him hit you. They're out of cover. Blast them. Yeah, both of these sorcerers are infinitely weaker than the other guy. But I can just summon some vines and wrap him up. It doesn't matter how strong he is when you've just wrapped him in some vines. He had fire coming out of his hands. Vines burn. Why is he not just blasting the ground with his fire? Why is he not doing any magic at all? Why can this far weaker sorcerer bind a far stronger sorcerer? It doesn't make it any better, love. This is stupid. This is the really awful way to visualize magic. Stuff like this may work in a book when you can actually describe what on earth's going on, but this is awful. There's no reason when he's this powerful he should just be able to be disabled by some random person from a forest. But it doesn't matter because apparently the guy who got the powers of a god, which is the lore of this show, has just been completely and utterly suppressed by the power of strong, independent fallopian tubes. Nobody else could have beaten him, but nobody else would have actually been a type B, so we're fine. They channel the power of both sorcerers into the pillar.
Isn't it amazing how unscary something is when you can see its arsehole?
That's actually a very good point, because I see a lot of people on sort of Twitter and Twitch just like, you're just intimidated by me. I need that clipped. Although, unfortunately, Dylan Moran does get immediately ripped in half afterwards. But if you're going to go out on any line, I think that's the best line to go out on, personally. But he's completely lost himself, he's turned evil, and he's going to slaughter all of his friends. So they start attacking him, although apparently an axe to the shoulder does absolutely nothing. That causes Mr. Death to live up to his name. He does have a pretty huge gaping chasm in his face. Although, given what we've seen of the dwarf in earlier episodes, maybe she's into it. But then, as he decides to target little and large, Yes, you guessed it, the most predictable plot twist since the last one in this show. I tell you, if anything is going to drive me into a murderous rage, it would be her singing.
Heart is still burning.
You're gonna miss the notes at the same place. This will be interesting.
My soul.
You actually did a lot better on that one. I think you still missed it, but not by the metric mile you did in the previous one. Now, I was hoping at this point that as she's approaching him singing, he was just biding his time until she gets into the reach of his arms. Unfortunately, none of us are that lucky. I still live in hope that there is a remake, though. One day. One day. But her singing makes him come back to himself. It drives off the monster, but he knows that I've already surrendered too much. There's no way I can control it, and so you need to do what you need to do. I can't help thinking this was the perfect moment for both of them to get yeeted off the edge of the building, but again, still not that lucky. If you just see my walls covered in rabbit's feet, well, you know, desperately hoping that I can change the reality. So there we have it. The person who's closest to a hero out of the entire show ended up dying, and he did it all to try and save the most evil person of the entire show, who was pretending to be a hero, and yet actually destroyed the entire realm. I think the lesson that I'm going to take from this show is quite simply, she's not worth it. I don't know whether she's screaming or just writing a new song. The problem is, if you pour all of your energy from two different realms into a monolith and you don't know what it's going to do, why are you doing it? Because he's still controlled by the tiny, weak mage, and yet there's a bigger issue with the plot at this point.
What are you doing? No!
Because the energy destroys the pillar, which is where fake Dylan Moran is, so that's going to be interesting later.
The great mage shattered his greatest creation.
We've just seen it in front of us visually. We didn't need a third-party embodied voice just to tell us what our own eyeballs had seen.
Not realizing the energy released would shatter space and time itself.
Thank you, because now we're also being shown that on screen, and I really needed you to explain what was going on as well. It ripped apart the fabric between universes, and this was the conjunction of the spheres, because they did something they had no idea what it would do, for a reason that I don't think they even understood why they were doing it in the first place. Using a method and a power which I'm not sure was actually physically possible to engage on the person they did it in. All in all, this entire magic story sucked. So all the planets came together, creatures from different planets started joining other worlds.
This was the conjunction of the spheres.
We said this line to try and make it attached to The Witcher in some way, shape or form, because we all know the rest of the story didn't. Cut to a beach, and there's an elf knocked unconscious at the beach. It looks around and sees these ships which have been shipwrecked along with a load of humans. How do I know they're humans? Well, they don't have the pointy bits on their ears. It's obvious, they're entirely different creatures.
Having cast an even stranger cargo on elven shores.
See, she's got round ears. They even made her hair go behind it so you could see it, because you'd have no other way of telling.
Where's he?
He says, "What are you?" and that's pretty impressive in its own right. To actually see the rounded nature of one ear at that distance when it's only on her right side that she's got tilted so he can't even see it. Yeah, I can see why he's so shocked that this thing that looks absolutely nothing like me has walked up on a beach. All I'm saying is if anyone ever approaches me and you have slightly weird shaped ears, I'm not going to go, "What are you?" Ugh. It's generally deemed a little rude. So loads of humans have washed up in their ships. They're lucky they didn't land on a sea, actually. They would have all died.
Nothing would ever be the same again.
Well, I think this show certainly permanently damaged my sense of taste. So there is that. I mean, that's what I'm going to blame anyway. Oh, and just in case this series didn't have one smash hit of a song, don't worry, they've got a second one for you to cover on Spotify.
Where once there were two standing stones.
She's back with a vengeance and reverb. Don't worry, something tells me that the songs from this series won't exactly have the same mass appeal of the other ones.
Facing proudly in a field.
So she's burning the corpse of the guy, which is weird, because after she said that the princess was right, I kind of expected her to have a far larger pile of corpses. We cut to Swordmaster, and she's doing a new ritual to get in touch with the ancients. Somehow, he's alive after having most of his face removed. And the thing is, they're like, "Oh, don't worry, it's healed." Yeah, there's a scar, but it's healed. No, this part of the face was ripped off his head. What did you do? Pick it up and shove it back on him or something? I don't even know how this is possible. Can't you say magic? No, he regrew his head. We find out that the male sorcerer died while he was destroying the universe. I don't know why we're crying for him. What he has done is a completely and utterly horrific act that will destroy countless, innumerable different universes. I can't even remember who that is. Who is this guy? Wait, was this the lover of the princess's second in command, the one that got sucked off to another dimension? Why is he here? He was in about 2 scenes that nobody cared about. that were only forced in so they could go, oh, it's the first. I couldn't care less about him. Oh, yeah, so then we cut to the second in command that got swept off. Don't worry, this may look like the end, but they're not done ruining characters yet. Because he finds a skull mask. Oh, member berries. We're not going to explain anything about it. We're just going to say he is and leave it at that. I've got to be honest. If I'm stranded in a different universe and I find a skull head, I'm not putting it on. I don't care how starved you are for the company. Also, he shouldn't be starved of company anyway. He should have had like 6 or 8 guards with him to keep him company. He didn't need a skull helmet as a mask. So through a land so cruel, but she's using the sword to try and commune with the ancients, using piles of rocks rather than just a few pieces of coal like she did last time. At least she's putting the effort in. She did bury it though, which seems like a waste. I went to all this effort to get our sword back, and now I'm just going to let it rot in the ground. It's not the great act you think it is, love, I'm telling you. I am that Lark that's standing still. Voice cracked, and she's now written a song that's about herself. That's just about the level of egotistical narcissism I would expect from her. Literally the main player character in the universe, according to her. She starts chopping onions, and 6 moons later, the monsters are everywhere, people need to hunt them, and we've got bounty boards for them instead. Look, we've got a few minutes left of the show. Try and put everything in a desperate hope that we can make this feel a bit like a Witcher show. And she's singing in a pub, pregnant, which gives our narrator just time enough to be annoying again and tell us what's going on.
Ayla and Fjol had seeded new life.
Thank you, I wouldn't have gathered that from her holding her stomach. I would have just assumed she'd eaten too many pies.
A child carrying a blood like no other.
Yeah, because it's carrying the genetics of an evil demon. And there's some from the father's side.
One marked by beast.
That was the mother.
And magic.
That was the father. But she asked the child, who, remember, said she had no talents, if you can just read the future of my future baby. Please, just tell me what my demonic offspring is going to do in the future. So she grabs hold of the bump. And I gotta be honest, when that's the first face you pull, it's not looking good. It's not looking any better now, is it?
Time of the spheres is upon us.
But yeah, she waffles a load of twaddle just like she did before, but you're supposed to think it's deep because they're not making any sense. Problem is, the show hasn't made sense for 4 hours anyway, and so when you just make a kid to not make sense, I don't really care by this point. So we cut back to the singular link to the Witcher series, who suddenly realizes that the narrator is no longer there.
Wait, what?
So she's gone.
Who? Which one of their blood?
Oh, we're going to end on a cliffhanger for the future Witcher series. Except the viewership that will have made it to this point of the show will probably be countable on one hand.
Sing the song of the 7 Sandpiper.
Yes, go forth, Bard, and sing, because if there's one thing we've hammered into people's faces throughout the entire series is that song is really important as a revolutionary tool. And so is apparently just wiping out everybody that you love. What a horrible show this is. So Rain starts appearing. He's suddenly back on the battlefield.
So the oppressed may find...
Oh, seriously, piss off and just keep pissing off as far as you can until you can't piss off anymore. Everything comes down to power dynamics with Hollywood. Everyone's an oppressor, or they're the oppressed, so we all better claim victimhood so we can't be the former. Ugh.
And be ready for the great change to come.
Yeah, be ready as you just hammer the allegory into my face repeatedly with a sledgehammer. You're so subtle and clever. I can't work out why you're not more successful a writer. So it turns out his side has actually won the battle, and then we get 6 minutes of credits. Well, except for one scene. Flashback to the actual Witcher, because we are desperate to try and get something in that will remind you of the Witcher, because nothing else in the show does. Oh look, it's Dylan Moran. I'm not joking, they thought that was really impressive, and this is the thing that will shock the fans. They won't believe their eyes when they've seen this. Let's face it, if the content you made was actually good, you would have put it before the credits, because nobody cares about your names and they just stop watching. Personally, when you've made something this crap, I wouldn't want my name attached to it, so I'm surprised you're so desperate to get people to see it. But secondly, your ego is exactly the problem with the entertainment in the first place. You think you're so amazing, such great writers, that you can put your ideas into it and just gonna be fine. Oh, they really want a show about a class-based revolution, comrade. There was a surprise at the end of 2022, and that was after everything that they was competing with at the end of the year. The 2 worst shows were Witcher Blood Origins and Willow, and they came right at the end. You dropped this on Christmas Day. Why? Because you either thought it'd be a great Christmas treat, or you just thought no one would see it because it'd be too busy on Christmas. This show felt like a mess. It felt like it was supposed to have 6 episodes and was cut down to 4. It felt like it was held together with bandages and string, but even the bits that remained were horrible. The morality was horrible. The hero of the piece, the bard that you kept trying to push as the main character, was the most evil person out of everyone, who went up to the villain and said, you know what? I know you've actually wiped out everyone I've ever loved, But you were right. You were absolutely morally justified to do that. It was a great thing that you did. You know your problem? You just didn't go far enough. When the hero is congratulating the villain on how evil they've been, they just weren't evil enough to be good, your show has fallen apart, and the people that wrote it no longer come from any foundational principle that your audience will ever be able to associate with. So congratulations, you managed to make something repulsive in both story, content, and entertainment value. The holy trifecta of crap, and for that, I congratulate you on at least achieving something. But those are my thoughts, what are yours? Let me know down in the comments below. If you like the video, press like, subscribe, more videos like this in the future, and I'll see you in the next one. The Last of Us TV show will be premiering in under a week. That ought to be interesting. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.